Hey Flosstube, it's Lori from Mischievous Stitches, coming at you from hot and humid South Carolina. I'm back this week because I have progress to show. And if you remember from my last video, if you happen to watch, I've been struggling with stitching a little bit. I've just not had a desire to stitch. So this week, I've kind of not necessarily forced myself, but tried to prompt myself to stitch each night. Did I stitch each night? No, I didn't. But the nights that I did stitch, I made a good bit of progress. So I want to show you my progress on the work baskets Faith, Hope, and Love. Last week when I talked with you all, I was basically just shy of halfway done. I was in the center, but I was starting to work on this anchor in the center. So let me show you where I'm at. I'm really happy with my progress. I'm over halfway done. I basically have just a little more than a corner left to do on this side. So I have the borders, because you can see it kind of mirrors itself. So I have a few of the borders left to complete, as well as the corner. And hopefully next weekend, by next weekend, I will have a finish. And I'm very happy. I apologize for her not being very presentable. She's still really wrinkled, but I do stitch on this in hand. So she gets held and loved and squeezed and crimped. But here you go, Faith, Hope, and Love. I'm really excited about this. I started at last Mania, where I started a lot of my pieces, and the amount of starts, or the amount of works in progress I have, are very overwhelming, I guess you would say, and it just seems to keep growing. So this year, I don't know that I've shown this finished piece that I'm about to show you, but I was working on it several videos back, and let me show it to you. I can't remember the name of it. It is a blackbird, and I had started was taking this to work each day and giving it a little bit of love. And I had also bought a few military buttons, naval buttons, from an antique shop, and thought that I would finish this piece as a pillow, but leave room so that I can display those buttons beneath. So I have not yet finished it, but I will be finishing it soon, and I can't wait to show you. So the piece itself, the stitching is complete, but it's not fully finished. I've also finished another small piece. In my last video, I mentioned that I will be getting together with my giggles at the end of the month, and at our last get-together, Mary had gifted us all with the supplies to finish one of the blackbird designs out of one of the new books. It's called Unbroken Song. And I was working on that piece, and I got a finish on it. And like I said, I don't remember if I've shown it in a previous video, but this is it. I used the called for colors. This is fabric that Mary had, like I said, had gifted to us. So I'm not sure if it is the called for, but I'm assuming it is. The only change I made was here. I remember that this was done in a white, and it didn't show up very well, so I just changed it to the lighter pink that called for pink in the pattern. So this is it, and it was made and finished by Blackbird in the book, excuse me, into a small unfinished wooden box. So Mary had gifted us that, along with the foam core board and the batting to finish the piece on to put into the box. So I'm going to show you the box. Now the box was similar to this, just Hobby Lobby purchased, unfinished piece of wood. And so this morning I pulled out the paint and the unfinished box, and I started finished. So I'm going to show you what I've got here. This is the box. So like I said, we're going to give you an idea, and some of you probably already know. You're going to take the foam core to go behind the piece, and the batting will be sandwiched between, and then this will go inside this box. So you'll open it up, and then this piece will be there beneath. And it's going to be a fun little finish. It was just sitting down to do it. So I sat down today and I painted it, and it was a little more tedious than I expected. I did have a few brushes, so I brushed it on, and there's so much glass that later on I ended up taking Q-tips to actually scrape and wash the paint off the glass. So that took some time, and there's just lots of little nooks and crannies, the trim around the edge of the glass. There's just no way to paint this box without getting the paint on. So I painted it, I let it dry, I gave it a light sand to give it an aged look, so you can see on the corners you've got some of the white of the wood showing. And some places are a little lighter than others. That's just from my sanding. And I've ordered some brie wax. The Blackbird design instructions calls for brie wax. And I have some Johnson wood wax, but it has a strong smell to it. And so I decided to go with order the brie wax, which should be here later in the week. It does not have that strong smell. I have used it before in finishing of Blackbird items. So I just needed to have some of my own, so I took that, because it's going to come in a 1 pound container, about that round, but 1 pound container that's sealed, so that little container will probably last my lifetime of stitching. So it wasn't that expensive. I think it was $19.99 on Amazon. Like I said, I should have it Tuesday, and then the only thing I have left to do before finishing this is to put a light coat of wax, buff it off, and then actually finish the piece. So completely finish the piece. And hopefully by next weekend I'll have that to show you. I also picked up a couple. I showed, let me show it again, just an unfinished box. I've done a couple of these before. The first one I did turned out perfectly. The next ones that I did not turn out so good. I finished it in a different way, and it seemed like they were just sticking. They didn't want to open. So the ones that I gifted that to, I'm sorry. But now that I know better what I'm doing, I have a plan to finish one of these up, and I may have that on a future video to show as well. It's just a fun little craft aside from cross stitch to do. So there's that. What else do I have? This week I had someone gift me with some more cross stitch. She was cleaning out her garage. It was things that she hasn't stitched since the 80s, and she brought me the items that she had. And some of it were things that I knew I wouldn't stitch. But let me show you what she did gift me with that I enjoyed right here. Just this box was an amazing gift. So it's a handle, and it has a few little slots inside. And you can see she has a few pieces. She said she would do these for her co-workers. And they're little gingerbread men. And she even has these, which looks to be like curtain rings. And she said she would finish these items inside those curtain rings and would gift them to her employees. So I have several of those, as well as these little rings. She also had a few of these, and they actually have adhesible press on it. And I don't know that it would still be good after all this time, but it's just little plastic frames, and I remember these from years ago. I've not used them myself. I thought I would hold on to them just in case. And look at this tiny little hoop. There were a few needles in here, some Susan Bates 98¢. And all of this here are actually her DMCs. So I don't know that I'll use them because they're basically, 30 years old. They seem to be okay. And they've been in a bag, but she's got several of those. And there were a couple of books that I really liked, and one of them was this one, Charted Folk Designs for Cross-Stitch Embroidery, 278 charts of ancient folk embroideries from the countries along the Danube. And I'm just going to fan through quick. So it says this book was copyright. It was actually published in 1975. So it's just all borders. So if I ever decided to design a sampler of some sort, I've got all these. As I wish I could show you. I want show you more close up, but just great designs for samplers, or trying to create one on your own, or changing something up that you dislike on a sampler that you already own. I have that, as well as a Learn How book. It was originally 35 cents, put out by Coates and Clark, and what is the year on this one? Distributed in 1959. And so it's how to crochet, knitting, tatting, embroidery. I just want to look through it to see what's changed, to see, once again, I can't show you inside, but it's just a quick, amusing look through, and I'm sure there's good tips and tricks in this as well. But I can't wait to look through this more. So I'm happy to have those items. The friend that gifted them to me said that she just didn't want to put them in a Goodwill or somewhere. She thought she would pass them to someone that would actually use them, and I am thankful to be the one that she passed them to. Thanks for all that have watched and commented on my last two videos. I posted actually two last week. One of Jacob and myself, and one of just me. We originally had planned to do several videos while he was here, and that did not work out. And so in the video that he was in, I'm sure I did let him know I had posted it. I had problems getting it to post was the reason. That he will be watching and liking, and maybe comment on a couple. Thanks for all of the comments to that video too, Jacob. I appreciate it. The quickest way to my heart is through my children. So when you make him smile, you make me smile. So thanks so much for that. And all the comments of all the comments on his comments with the samplers. Michelle Bendy Stitchy contacted me and questioned me about doing a stitch along for the Mary Ann Bourne's sampler from Hands Across the Sea Samplers, which is this one. And Jacob had called it a jungle igloo, and be skep. So it's going to be hashtagged Jungle Igloo SAL. We're going to start it on October 1st, and we're waiting that long to give anyone who wants to join in with us time to actually get it kitted up. If you've not gotten it kitted up, if you have it, or if you don't have it and you want to join in. She is a big girl, but she is a big, beautiful girl. So if you want to join in with us on the Jungle Igloo Stitch Along, and starting October 1st with Michelle Bendy and I, please do. We'd love for you to do this with us. I've been watching a little Flosstube while I stitch, and I have been watching Lisa Kindred Stitcher. I mentioned in my last video I knew that she had been working to complete one of her Paula Vaughn's, her oldest whips, and I didn't realize she had two, and she showed both of those on her video that she has indeed finished them, and they look beautiful, Lisa. I've watched Teresa Kitten Stitcher, two of her most recent videos, as well as Jen Stitching It, which watching Jen usually sends me right to her site to make a purchase, and that's exactly what I did. She showed where she had finished up a blackbird design, which is with the Uncle Sam's hat. I just loved it, so I went right to her site and ordered that. And then, who else have I watched? I can't even think. Stitching and Doodah. I've watched their most recent one, Pam and Steph, and of course Buckeye Stitcher. I watched her as well, where she's sitting on her stairs for the lighting, and so that the cats will allow her to film without walking in front of her. So I've enjoyed all of your videos, and I thank you for taking the time to watch mine and share with me and comment and welcome me back. And what am I going to do this week? I picked up, told you my last video, no, it was a video with Jacob. I had been crocheting dish rags, and I started one using this yarn, and I'm not very far, but I had stitched or crocheted a few of these for Jacob's sisters, and I gifted some to a co-worker and to my mom, and Jacob wanted to know why he didn't have any, so I have to make him some. So I picked up some colors, because the colors I had, of course, were hot pinks and rose and salmon and peach and red. So I bought some brown and this green, and I bought this mottled khaki. See the colors inside? I really like this. And so I'm going to do a few for Jacob. I think that I can, if I remember correctly, I can get 2, and they're basic single crochet dishcloth. They're nothing fancy. I think I can get 2 and a portion of 1 out of 1 ball. And these are just peaches and cream skeins from Walmart. I think they're like $1 and some change, less than $2 for one of these. So yes, it takes time for me to crochet them, but as far as the cost, aside from my time, they're very, very inexpensive, and they're great little gifts. So I'm looking ahead towards Christmas as well. So I've gotten 4 balls, so that should give me at least 8, 9, 10 rags, and I'm going to send Jacob 4. So there's that. I'm going to continue to work on and finish the work basket, Faith, Hope, and Love. I should have that completed, I'd say, by Monday or Tuesday, keeping my fingers, no, I'm not going to keep my fingers crossed. I'm going to keep all of my threads crossed. And after that, I'm not sure what I'll pick up. We'll just let it be a surprise. So, this is just a quick video, just to pop in, show you my progress, show you what I've been working on, to let you know about the stitch along. And I hope you'll join me again next week when I make my next video. And until then, hugs and stitches. Take care. Bye-bye.